Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram Hare। श्री श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद जी की जय, उपस्थित गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल। Okay, so please recite after me from chapter number 15. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate
भगवते
Vasudevaya.
वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om
ॐ
Namo
नमो
Bhagavate
भगवते
Vasudevaya.
वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ॐ
Om
नमो
Namo
भगवते वासुदेवाय।
So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, and we are into chapter number 15, which is entitled as the Yoga of the Supreme Person or the Purushottama Yoga, and takes number 15. So please recite after me. Sarvasya Chaham Hridhi Sannivishto
सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टो।
Mata Smritirjnanam Apohanam Cha
मत्तः स्मृतिर्ज्ञानपोहनं च।
वेदैश्च सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यो
वेदैश्च सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यो
वेदान्तकृद्वेदविदेव चाहम्.
वेदान्तकृद्वेदविदेव चाहम्.
Okay, thank you. सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टो मत्तस्मृतिर्ज्ञानमपोहनं च वेदेश सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यो वेदान्तकृद्वेदविदेव चाहम्. So, the word-to-word meaning, translation, and purport by His Divine Grace. Abhay Charanarvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ji ki Jai.
I
Translation:
remember
I
15,
am seated
15
in
was done, I
everyone's
guess.
heart, and from me come
Hare
remembrance,
Krishna.
knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the
Hare Krishna.
Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of the Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. Purport. I'll just read the first paragraph, which we are purport of the first paragraph of the purport, which we already discussed. The Supreme
Hare
Lord is
Krishna.
situated as Paramatma in everyone's heart, and it is from Him that all activities are initiated. The living entity forgets everything in his past life, but he has to act according to the direction of the Supreme Lord, who is witness to all his work. Therefore, he begins his work according to his past deeds. Required knowledge is supplied to him, and remembrance is given to him. And he forgets also about his past life. Thus, the Lord is not only all pervading, he is also localized in every individual heart. He awards the different beauty results. He is worshipable not only as the impersonal Brahman, the supreme personality of Godhead, and the localized Paramatma, but as the form of the incarnation of Vedas as well. The Vedas give the right direction to people so that they can properly mold their lives and back to God, come back to Godhead, back to home. The Vedas offer knowledge of the supreme personality of Godhead, Krishna, and Krishna in his incarnation as Vyasadeva is the compiler of the Vedanta Sutra. The commentation on the Vedanta Sutra by Vyasadeva in the Srimad Bhagavatam gives the real understanding of Vedanta Sutra. The Supreme Lord is so full that for the deliverance of the conditioned soul, He is the supplier and digester of the foodstuff, the witness of His activity, and the giver of knowledge in the form of the Vedas. And as the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, the teacher of the Bhagavad Gita, he is worshipable by the conditioned soul. Thus, God is all good, God is all mercy. ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगनं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणमिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिने नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशता नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरतिषे नमः हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्ते तप्त कांचन गौरांगे राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं श्री परमानंद श्री चैतन्य ईश्वर Hare Krishna. So welcome back to our discussion of the last 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, which we are studying now. So last time, where were we? I think so last time we covered almost right from 15.65 or 6 till the 15.6 till 6 or 7 we completed up to 15th some portion we did halfway. So anybody would like to recall any points, anything you remember, anything you understood, anything you liked, anything Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport, anything you found interesting? Nothing? Nothing you understood, nothing you found interesting? No comments, nothing? So shall we go ahead then? Okay, if there are no points, we'll go ahead. So last time we discussed Sarvasya chaham rudhi sannivishto mattap smriti jnanam apohanam cha vedesha sarver aham eva vedanta krut ved. Sarvasya cha aham, in all the living entities, aham, I am what? Situated. How? Rudhi sannivishto. I am actually situated in the heart of all the living entities. And what is the effect? Matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. From me comes the, I mean, I'm the one who gives the remembrance. Matta, from me comes the remembrance. Smriti, jnanam, knowledge, and apohanam cha. Forgetfulness of both of these. One forgets, one is not remembering, and one is not having knowledge. And then Vedesha Sarver Aham Eva Vedi. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Vedanta Krut, I am the one who is compiler of the Veda. Veda Videvacha Aham. I am the knower of the Vedas, I am the compiler of the Vedas, and I am the goal of the Vedas. This is what Lord Sri Krishna is telling here in the 15th verse. So last time we saw how this remembrance, especially now Srila Prabhupada wrote in the first paragraph of the purport, that Lord gives us a remembrance. We have so many desires for so many lifetimes, but everything is not being fulfilled. So at the right time, right condition, then Lord gives us that remembrance. Oh, you wanted to enjoy it this way? Take it now, enjoy now, like that. So materially also, the Lord gives a remembrance. And we also saw in the spiritual life how Bharat Maharaj was, although not in the body of a human being, he was in the body of the deer, but he was remembering his mistake. So who gave him that remembrance of the mistake? So that's Lord only. He gave him the remembrance like that. And also it is said in the Varaha Purana, in the Charam Shloka, like we say, Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kale ya prayati samad bhavam yati nasti atra samshay. Anybody who remembers me at the last moment on the deathbed, then he will come to me without fear. Now, if somebody says, oh, then what if the devotee in the last condition of his life, he is in the hospital ICU with all the tubes and everything inside and is in the coma, or is not, remembering anything normal. So how is it possible for him to remember Lord Sri Krishna? So Lord Sri Krishna, Varahadev tells his consort, Mother Earth, Bhumi Devi, that anybody who actually performs devotional service to me during his normal healthy condition, and even at the end of his life, if he doesn't remember, he's lying like a log of wood, like we say, sometimes sabji, in the ICU, the condition is like they're motionless, they're emotionless, they're talking less, speechless, nothing they're doing, just they're lying there. So even if somebody is lying on the deathbed at the last moment on his deathbed, even if he doesn't remember me, I will remember him and I will take him back to my supreme abode. That is also Lord's promise. So our duty is, materially also is facilitating so many things we saw. Dharayami Gama Avashicha Bhutane, he's entering into all the planets and making them float like the cotton swab, Srila Prabhupada says. Huge planets, hundreds and thousands of tons of mass and velocity, but they're floating in the air like cotton swabs. That's because of Krishna has entered them. Kamavashya chu bhutan. Dharayami aham pushnami aushadhi charva. Somo bhutva rasatmaka. So all the juices to the vegetables in our material life also Krishna is helping. He is giving juice to the vegetables. He is giving this moonlight, the sunlight. The earth is provided by him. Everything is provided. Vitamin D's are provided by him. So everything Lord Krishna material is also providing. And at the same time, he will also provide us spiritually also the remembrance. Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam priyate. Tesham satada yuktanam vajatam priti purvakam. Anybody who priti purvakam and satata yuktanam vajatam. He's always serving me in devotional service with love. Not that, oh, somehow somebody is telling me to do, I have to do what to do. So not like that. Priti purvakam. Then dadami buddhi yoga. I will give him the remembrance. I'll give him the knowledge like that. So that also we discussed last time, remembrance and knowledge. And then forgetfulness also we discussed why it is so important. Otherwise, it is actually great mercy of the Lord that is giving us forgetfulness so that we are normal to enjoy our life, to exploit the material nature. Bhumte prakriti jan guna. So we are ready to enjoy as per our desire. Otherwise, if it gives remembrance from all the past lives, it will be miserable for us. We will not be able to live normal life like that. Okay. So now, the acharyas they explain the Lord is not only facilitating our material life, but He is also, if anybody desires, He is also facilitating our liberation from this miserable material world, and therefore that provision also is made by Him. What is that? Vedasya sarve aham eva Vedanta krut Vedadevacha. So he has actually compiled the Vedas. And how he's compiled the Vedas? In the form of Vyasadeva. He comes as a literary incarnation, and he actually compiles the Vedas. At the beginning of the Kali Yuga, Vyasadeva, it is mentioned in the Bhagavad first canto, how he saw the entire uh, material world, it's going to go on deterioration. The lifespan will deteriorate, all the strength will deteriorate, the smriti, memory will deteriorate, all the good qualities will deteriorate. Everything is going to go on deteriorating in the Kali Yuga, and therefore for our benefit he actually compiled the Vedas. He actually one Veda was there, and then he compiled them into 4 sections. Then he also wrote the Puranas, especially the Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita, and then he also wrote the Vedanta Sutra, like that. So in the form of his literary incarnation, Vyasdeva in the form of Krishna in the form of Vyasdeva has actually also given us these Vedas. And there's a verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita which says, Maya Mugdha Jiver Nahi Swata Krishna Gyan Jiver Krupaya Kaila Krishna Veda Puran. So Maya Mugdha Jiver Nahi Swata Krishna Gyan. Why the Vedas have been given? For our liberation, for our good. That Maya Mukta Jiver Nahi Swata Krishna Gyan. Those conditioned souls, they are so engrossed and lost in the material enjoyment and this material life, on this vast tree of the reflection of the material world. They have lost actually eating so many different kinds of fruits. Sometimes they are bitter, sometimes they are sweet, etc., etc. So he has no idea about Krishna. He doesn't know anything about Krishna. Maya Mugda Jiver Nahi Sutta Krishna Gyan. Jivera Krupaya Kaila. By I mean, Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu, he says. So for giving mercy to the Jivas, Jivera Krupaya Kaila Krishna Veda Purana. Then Krishna actually given us the Vedas out of his causeless mercy and compassion, and he has Veda Purana, all the Puranas, etc. He has given to us. Okay, so why the Vedas are given? Veda. The Srila Prabhupada explains. You might have heard in the Ishopanishad, the very first lecture, very first thing. Srila Prabhupada's lecture is there in London, where he explains Veda means it comes from the dhatu vid. Vid means to know, right? So Vedas is actually the storehouse of all the knowledge, whether it is material knowledge, spiritual knowledge. You want to enjoy this nice life nicely, take all the information from the Vedas. how to make aeroplanes, how to fly from one place to another, Ayurveda, how to increase the duration of life. Everything is there in the Vedas like that. And if you want to spiritually progress, and one stroke solution you want to achieve, once for all, give a full stop to all the miseries, then that is also possible. All the spiritual knowledge is also given like that. So why the Vedas are given, the storehouse of knowledge, like we say, no, with dhatu, vidwan means somebody who's having the knowledge, vidwan. So with dhatu, Srila Prabhupada explains. So Prabhupada writes there, Vedas, they give right direction. I'm reading the first paragraph itself, to the people so that they can properly mold their lives and come back to God and back to home. The Vedas offer knowledge of the Supreme Personality of God, Krishna, and Krishna in his incarnation as Vyasdeva is comparable to that. And the same author, Vedanta Sutra author, Vedanta Sutra means what? All the conclusions. Vedanta has also different portions. There is a Samhita, there is a Brahman, there is Aranyaka, and then there is a Upanishads. So these are the different parts of all the four Vedas. So Upanishads are actually the conclusive parts, the philosophical part of the Vedas. And further philosophical conclusions were given by Srila Vyasdev in the form of, after writing all the Puranas, Mahabharata, Vedas, compiling the Vedas, he wrote Vedanta Sutra to give these philosophical conclusions of everything, whatever has been stated earlier, like that. So that Vedanta Sutra are very concise, sutras where a lot of information is actually coded. We can say the coded like that. Yes. So that is actually given by Vasudeva as a conclusion. And also the same author then actually also gives the explanation of that Vedanta Sutra in the form of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is said to be the natural commentary of the Vedanta Sutra. Like the first verse of Bhagavatam starts, Janmadi yasya yato. Janma adi yasya yato means from whom. The Janma means the creation. Adi means creation, maintenance, and destruction. From whom all these three comes of this material world, that Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this is one of the Vedanta Sutras. And in the same verse, it is also said, Satyam Param Dhimahi. So all these Vedanta Sutras are also included in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and it's by the same author, and that's how it is explained that Srimad Bhagavatam is the natural commentary of the Vedas. So therefore, there are two types of sannyasis. Tridandi sannyasis of the Vaishnava sannyasis and Ekadandi or Mayavadi sannyasis. Mayavadi sannyasis are very busy in studying the Vedanta Sutra and giving the misinterpretation, doing word jugglery. Whereas Vaishnava sannyasis, they study the Srimad Bhagavatam because it is a natural commentary of the Vedanta Sutra. Okay. So that's how the God is all good and how all merciful. That is explained by Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Lord is so full that for the deliverance of the conditioned soul, he is the supplier and digester of the foodstuff, witness of his activity, and the giver of the knowledge from the Vedas. And as the Supreme Personality of God, Sri Krishna, the teacher of Bhagavad Gita, is teaching also Bhagavad Gita and is worshipable by the conditioned souls. The God is all good, God is all merciful. So the conclusions of the Vedas are in the Upanishads, and all the Upanishads are concluded in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and that is being taught by Lord Sri Krishna. Sarva Upanishado Gao Dogdha Gopalananda. All the Upanishads you compare to a cow, then the milkman is actually Lord Sri Krishna, and the cow and the calf is actually Arjuna and all the devotees, and the milk of the cow, which is the essence of the cow, all the essence of the Upanishads is actually Bhagavad Gita. That milk is actually Dugdham Gitam Tamma. That is actually the Bhagavad Gita. And it's very nourishing for the calf and everybody like that. So he's teaching that also. Oh, so this is also called as Gita Upanishad. Gita is also known as Gita Upanishad. It's the essence of all the Upanishads. Upanishads are the essence of the Vedas. So Gita is the essence of the Vedas. Like that. That was actually I was trying to make the point. Okay. Fine. And Vedesh Sarver Aham Eva Vedyo Vedanta Krut Veda Vidya. So he's the compiler, he's the knower of the Vedas, and he's the goal of the Vedas. If you remember last time we studied something like Jnanam, Jneyam, Jnanagamyam. Jnanam is knowledge, Jneyam means object of knowledge, and Jnanagamyam, what you want to achieve as the goal by obtaining that knowledge, that is called as Jnanagamyam. So Krishna is Vedanta, he is actually the Vedas, he is the Vedanta Krut, and he is the goal of all the Vedas. Vedesh Sarver Aham Eva. So like that also we can see here. And it is said that the Lord Brahma, the first Jiva and the first student of the Vedas, right? Tene Brahma Rudaya Adi Kavaye. So Lord Sri Krishna gave the Vedic knowledge to Lord Brahma. He is the first student of the Vedas. And it is said in the Srimad Bhagavatam, if you read, that Lord Brahma, he actually studied the Vedas 3 times. And that's how, somebody can just read. Yamuna Vilas Prabhu, if you can read from the screen, the translation and the purport of 2:34. Yes.
Translation. The great personality Brahma, with great attention and concentration of the mind, studied the Vedas 3 times, and after scrutinizingly examining them, he ascertained that attraction for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is the highest perfection of religion. Purport. Sri Sukadev Goswami is referring to the highest Vedic authority, Lord Brahma, who is the qualitative incarnation of God. The Vedas were taught to Brahmaji in the beginning of the material creation. Although Brahmaji was to hear Vedic instructions directly from the personality of Godhead, in order to satisfy the inquisitiveness of all prospective students of the Vedas, Brahmaji, just like a scholar, studied the Vedas 3 times, as generally done by all scholars. He studied with great attention, concentrating on the purpose of the Vedas, and after scrutinizingly examining the whole process, he ascertained that becoming a pure, unalloyed devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is the topmost perfection of all religious principles. And this is the last instruction of the Bhagavad Gita, directly presented by the Personality of Godhead. The Vedic conclusion is thus accepted by all acharyas, and those who are against this conclusion are only Vedavada Ratas, as explained in the Bhagavad Gita 2.42.
Yes, thank you. So that's about the first student of the Vedas who actually reached to the same conclusion, like that. And there is the purpose is also given further. The Vedas give us the direction by which to understand Krishna and the process of realizing Him. The ultimate goal is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vedanta Sutra 114 confirms this in the following words: Tattu Samanvaya. One can attain perfection in 3 stages. What are the 3 stages one can achieve the perfection?
Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagwan.
Okay, Arun Jaiswal.
Yes, same Prabhuji.
Okay. Here I think so Prabhupada is mentioning SAP, Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojan. First we have to know about the Sambandha, then we have to follow process, Abhideya, and by following the process we reach to the goal. So that's again something similar to Jnanam, Jneyam, Jnanagamyam. Okay. So one can attain perfection in 3 stages. By understanding Vedic literature, one can understand his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By performing the different processes, one can approach him. So the first one is relationship, Sambandha. By performing the different processes, Navida Bhakti, one can approach him, that is Abhideya. And at the end, one can attain the supreme goal, who is no other than Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is Prayojan, Krishna Prema or Krishna, Krishna's abode. In this verse, the purpose of the Vedas, the understanding of the Vedas, and the goal of the Vedas are clearly defined. Like so, I had given a reference of this particular verse early in our discussion from the second canto, when Sukadeva Goswami starts speaking, being questioned by the Parikshit Maharaj. So there is one word which comes Rushikesham anusmrutya. So by remembering the Rishikesh. So Prasanna Gopal Prabhu, can you please read from the screen what is stated in the translation and purport? Small purport, please. Yes.
Translation. Sutta Goswami said, when Shukadeva Goswami was thus requested by the king to describe the creative energy of the personality of Godhead, he then systematically remembered the master of the senses, Sri Krishna, and to reply properly, he spoke thus. Purport. The devotees of the Lord, while delivering the speeches and describing the transcendental attributes of the Lord, do not think that they can do anything independently. They think that they can speak only what they are induced to speak by the Supreme Lord, the master of the senses. The senses of the individual being are not his own. The devotee the devotee knows that such senses belong to the Supreme Lord and that they can be properly used when they are employed for the service of the Lord. The senses are instruments and elements of the ingredients, all endowed by the Lord. Therefore, whatever an individual can do, speak and see, etc., is under the direction of the Lord only. The Bhagavad Gita 15.15 confirms this. Sarvasya vradi sannivishto matta smriti jnanam apohanam cha. No one is free to act freely and independently, and as such, one should always seek the permission of the Lord to act or eat or speak. And by the blessings of the Lord, everything done by the devotee is beyond the principles of all of the four defects typical of the conditioned soul.
Okay. So that's sometimes people they ask, okay, you're talking about four defects, imperfect senses, committing mistakes, getting illusion and committing mistakes and cheating prophets. So you say this knowledge is coming in parampara by so many gurus and this and that. But the gurus are also souls, conditioned souls. They are also having these four defects. So here is the point. Although they are having, I mean, that can be said of any jiva in this material world of having four defects. But because they don't do anything independently, here actually this is being talked about the Sukadeva Goswami, and that's how Sutta Goswami is remembering. So all the pure devotees, all the acharyas, although they may appear to be like normal conditioned souls, but because of their Krishna consciousness, they're always in touch with the Lord, and that's how whatever they speak, it is actually the mercy of the Lord coming through these great acharyas. Therefore, that is how actually we can understand Vedesha Sarver Ahame Vedo Vedanta Krut Veda Videva Chaham. So there should not be any confusion about what is the goal of the Vedas, like Veda Vadanatas, they take it for something else. And all these Mayavadis, impersonalists, they actually give different meanings to this Vedic text, and not they don't take to the devotional service of the Lord. For them, service to Krishna is not the goal, but for us, Krishna is the goal, and everything is around Lord Sri Krishna only. Okay, so that was about the Vedesha Sarver Aham Eva Vedo Vedanta Krut Veda Videvacha. Why Vedas were compiled? What is the purpose behind it? What is the goal of the Vedas? And what is the knowledge given in the Vedas? Right. Okay. So that ends our second section of this particular chapter. That was about the appreciating Krishna as the maintainer on the cosmic level as well as on the individual level. How Krishna is maintaining the form of sun, moon, and the earth, etc. And is actually the one who is actually digesting all the different kinds of foodstuffs we eat. Eating is only our responsibility, but actually Krishna takes the responsibility of digesting it. So we have to be careful what we eat, how much we eat, when we eat, etc., etc. Okay, and then anybody wants to achieve the liberation and put a full stop to all the miseries, then is also giving us the Vedas and the Vedanta Sutras. So, what is actually the essence of the Vedanta Sutra? That's our next section now, the last section, where this three shloki Bhagavad Gita 16, 17, 18 will come, and which is the essence of all the Vedanta Sutra. So because Krishna says, I'm knower of the Vedas, now I will speak briefly about the meaning and the essence of the Vedanta Sutra. like that he's saying. So the essence of these three verses, 16, 17, 18, is that what? Lord and Jiva, they cannot be one. They are different. They can never be one, like that, which is claimed by the Mayavadis. And by knowing Krishna 1920, we can know everything. Everything else is also known by knowing Krishna, by reaching Krishna, like that. So it is also said 16, 17, 18, they are also called like Sambandha Gyan, which we just spoke about. 19 is about following the process, Abhidheya, and 20 is about the Prayojana, the goal of all that knowledge. Fine. So 15.16 द्वामिमो पुरुषो लोके क्षरचाक्षर एव च क्षर सर्वाणि भूतानि कूटस्थोऽक्षर उच्यते. Please read. Prerna Mataji. 15.16 translation.
Yes, Prabhuji. There are two classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every living entity is called infallible.
Okay. Dwa imo. Dwa means actually two. Purusha loke. Purusha means the living entities. The jivas are not actually real Purushas. They are imitating. But that's how we have been referring to in this section as Purusha, the jivas. Loke is actually in this world. Kshara cha akshara eva cha. There are two types of living entities. One is called as ak, one is called as akshara. Akshara means actually that is fallible, and akshara means infallible. Just like you say Chut and Achyut. Krishna is known as Achyuta. The very first name Arjuna takes in Bhagavad Gita is Achyuta. Ratham sthapaya me Achyuta. Please take my chariot between the two armies. And the last Sambodhan by Arjuna to Krishna is also Achyuta. In the last chapter, we'll see that. Nashto moho smridirlabdhat prasadat maya Achyuta. Sthito asmi gata sandeha karishye vachinam. Like that. So Achyuta is infallible. And now here it is being with reference to the jivas. Kshara and Akshara is fallible and infallible. And who are these then? The more details about these two. Kshara sarvani bhutani. All the living entities which are there in the material world, they are called as Kshara or the fallible ones. And Kutastho Akshara Uchyate. Those who are in the oneness. See, Kutastha, what Srila Prabhupada translate is? Kutastha is in oneness. Okay. So in oneness, those who are there, they are called as Akshara, infallible ones. Okay. So we'll see more details about this. What is the Kutastha in oneness? Srila Prabhupada also mentions in the purport. And if you see, Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan, he translates this verse. He uses this word loke. Dvamimam Purusho loke. So loke is also referring to the material world, all the 14 planetary systems, and it also refers to the Vedas. In the Vedas, there are two kinds of living entities which are mentioned. So he writes, Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan, the meaning of the word loka is that by which truth is perceived, lokayate. Thus, loka means Vedas. So, like nice understanding. So, in the Vedas, so he writes the translation. There are two conscious beings mentioned in the Vedas: the conditioned jivas and the liberated jivas. The bound jivas are all these living entities with the bodies, like the material bodies, and the liberated jivas are fixed with one form for all the time. That means he is translating oneness, Kutastha Akshara Uchyate, as those who are in the same form, in the sense, in their Swarupa, in their original form, as Dasya, Madhurya, Sakya, whatever it may be, Shanta. So they are actually in the liberated state in the spiritual world, and they are not changing bodies like the fallible ones who are changing their bodies. Okay. So Srila Prabhupada writes, as already explained, the Lord in his incarnation as well as they have compiled the Vedanta Sutra. Here the Lord is giving in summary the contents of the Vedanta Sutra. So these three verses. So the same thing, Kshara, the fallible ones, Jiva Bhuta. There are two kinds, Jiva Bhuta and Brahma Bhuta. Brahma Bhuta means they are actually infallible or Akshara, and Jiva Bhuta means Kshara, fallible class. So they are struggling with the mind and the five senses we saw in this material world. Manashasthani Indriyani, Prakriti Sthani Karshati. So much of struggle is going on. And the bodies are constantly undergoing 6 changes. So all of us, we know that the body is born and then it grows, then it maintains, reproduces, dwindling, and then destruction. That is the 6 changes every living entity's body undergoes. Okay. And then this Akshara, infallible, or the Brahma Bhuta Jiving entities, who they are in oneness with the Supreme Personality of God. Now, oneness does not mean they have no individuality. Oneness does not mean they have no individuality. They have lost their individuality. No, that is not the oneness. Even in the Ishopanishad, you might have studied Ekatvam Anupashyate. Ekatvam Anupashyate means, what is that Ekatvam? Srila Prabhupada explains there that qualitative oneness and quantitative difference that we studied many times. And another oneness, Ekatvam Anupashyate means one has to see properly. Anupashyate. That means following the previous acharyas, like that. So another oneness is oneness in the interest. Just like Prabhupada gives the example, there are so many family members, but all the family members, they are united in the one interest of the family. They may be having individual swabhava, liking, this, that, but when the family interest is at stake, they will be all united like that. Or similarly, national interest. There may be so many different nationals, citizens, but whenever his national interest is at stake, they will be all united. So similarly, he also says Anandamayo Abhyasat. We are one in the quality means what? We are also by nature, we are also Anandamaya. We are also bliss seeking. We are also blissful by nature. So everybody is blissful in the spiritual world, the Lord and the liberated living entities. Everybody is blissful. So that kind of oneness is being talked about by the Srila Prabhupada and the Vaishnava Acharyas. Also, if you study the Srimad Bhagavatam 3rd canto, the 15th chapter is entitled as the description of the kingdom of God. What the kingdom of God looks like, what are the varieties of plants and living entities, their activities, and the Lord, everything is being explained there. So there it is. You might have heard this. They are one in interest means they are united in the service of the Lord. They have no other interest, or they have no envy, no competition there like that. So there are so many cuckoos and peacocks and parrots. They are so singing nicely the glories of the Lord. But when this bumblebee comes there, buzzing, making the buzzing sound, they all become lull. Means they just stop singing their glories and they allow the bumblebee to sing the glories and perform the devotional service for the Lord. There's so many fragrant flower trees or flowers are there, jasmine and parijat and so many of them, but they are all very respectful towards the plant of tulsi. Although tulsi doesn't have any fragrance as such as compared to them, but because they know tulsi is always situated on the lotus feet of the Lord, they have a great respect for the devotional service performed by tulsi. So in that sense, this kutastha oneness is being explained there also. And Srila Prabhupada further explains Kshara and Akshara, fallible, infallible, in the second paragraph. Somebody can read. Aruna Mataji, can you read second paragraph? Purport.
Yes, sir. Just a second.
Oh, you have a lot of noise. You can ask somebody else to. Bhakti Leela Devi Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. According to the statement of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, there are two classes of living entities. The Veda gives evidence of this, so there is no doubt about it. The living entities who are struggling in this world with the mind and five senses have their material bodies which are changing. As long as a living entity is conditioned, his body changes due to contact with matter, and matter is changing, so the living entity appears to be changing. But in the spiritual world, the body is not made up of matter. Therefore, there is no change. In the material world, the living entity undergoes 6 changes: birth, growth, duration, reproduction, then dwindling and vanishing. These are the changes of the material body. But in the spiritual world, the body does not change. There is no old age, there is no birth, there is no death. They all exist in oneness. Kshara Sarvani Bhutani. Any living entity who has come in contact with matter, beginning from the first created being, Brahma, down to a small ant, is changing its body. Therefore, they are all fallible. In the spiritual world, however, they are always liberated in oneness.
Okay. So actually, there is a background which is being prepared by the Lord about the summary of the Vedanta Sutra. And first of all, is mentioning these two categories of the living entities, fallible and infallible. And now he will explain the next verse on this particular background, that 15.17, where the Paramatma is being referred as maintainer. Uttama Purushasto Anya Paramatmeti Udararu Yo Lokotrayam Avishya Vibharti Avyaya Ishwaram. So please read Mukunda Patru's translation.
Besides these, Besides these two, there is a greatest living personality, the Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord Himself, who has entered the three worlds and is maintaining them.
Mm. Okay. So Uttama Purushastu. Tu means whatever has been stated earlier, now this is something opposite or different category. Earlier, two categories of the living entities are being described: fallible, infallible, conditioned and liberated. Now something other than these two categories, above these two categories, two, but Uttama Purushastu Anya. Apart, Anya means apart from these two categories of the living entities, means now the talk is about the Lord who is not different than the living entities. And how is he different? Uttama Purusha. Uttama means, Srila Prabhupada explains, Tama means the darkness. Utta means beyond the darkness. Beyond the darkness of this material world. The Lord is beyond this material world. Lord does not belong to this material world. He is actually transcendental to this material world. So Uttama Purusha, that is the Lord. And what is being called generally? Paramatme ti iti udararu. He's been generally called as Paramatma. Now, uh, what is this Paramatma is doing actually here? Yo Lokotrayam Avishya. This Paramatma, Yo means this Paramatma has entered all the three worlds, the three divisions of this universe. And Vibharti Avyaya Ishvara. How is he? He's Avyaya, inexhaustible he is. And he is the Ishvara, he is the Lord. And Vibharti means he is actually maintaining the entire material world. So just like we saw earlier, in the form of the sunlight, the moonlight, by entering the earth, all these are the activities or the functions of Paramatma, and that's how he is so kind and merciful to the living entities. He has provided everything, whatever is required for the maintenance of this material world. That's how this material world is also complete. Purnamada Purnamidam. He is complete, and whatever is coming from him is also complete. There is no external agencies required to supply anything to this material world. It is self-sustaining like that. So he is maintaining what has been already explained earlier. So what these Mayavadis they try to do, they try to, by their word jugglery, they try to equate these words to the jivas and somehow make a connection that this is being talked about the jivas. No, this is not being talked about the jivas. Uttama Purushastva Anya. Anya means other than these two categories, very categorically stated. So actually, that is how this verse talks about the Supreme Lord in the form of his Paramatma. Okay. So Srila Baldev Devbhushan writes, the reason the two were delineated is now described in this verse. Why these two categories of the living entities were mentioned earlier? Anya, there is another Anya person who is different in conception from the two types mentioned. is described according to the scriptures as Paramatma, that is Iti Udara. The quality which makes him supreme, Uttama, is then described. He enters the three worlds and supports everything. This position of supporting and protecting the universe cannot refer to the conditioned jiva because he cannot perform such action. Jivas cannot maintain, of course, and it cannot refer to the liberated jiva because he is devoid of interaction with the world, material world. They are into the spiritual world and they have nothing to do with material world. Although they may sometimes comes along with the Lord for performing lila or taking part, participating or assisting him in his lila, but they have no connection and they cannot maintain like that. Okay. So there's a small paragraph. Somebody can read the purport. Who can read? Arun Prabhu, can you read, please?
Yes, Prabhu. The idea of this verse is very nicely expressed in Katha Upanishad 2 to 13 and Shvetashvatar Upanishad. It is clearly stated that above the innumerable living entities, some of whom are conditioned and some of whom are liberated, there is the Supreme Personality who is Paramatma. The Upanishadic verse runs as follows: Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam. The purport is that amongst all the living entities, both conditioned and liberated, there is one Supreme Living Personality, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who maintains them and gives them all the facility of enjoyment according to different work. That Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated in everyone's heart as Paramatma. A wise man who can understand him is eligible to attain perfect peace, not others.
So many times this comes Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetanam. Anybody can explain what does it mean? Nityo Nityanam. What does it mean? Chetanas. Or somebody else. What is Nityo Nityanam? Chetanas Chetananam. Yes, Prasanna.
So, eternal, the Lord is eternal, and He is the soul of the like soul. Basically, He is the power behind the soul's energy.
Okay, fine. Yes. So Nityo Nityanam. Everybody, all the living entities and the Lord, everybody is Nitya, eternal, right? Nityo Nityanam. But among the eternals, He is the supreme eternal. Nityo Nityanam. Chetanas Chetananam. Everybody is conscious. All the living entities, souls, they are conscious, but He's supremely conscious because He's not conscious. I mean, individual Atma is conscious of his own body or his own thing, but supremely conscious means He's conscious of everyone and everything, whatever is going on here, like that in the material and in the spiritual world. Eko bahunam yo vididati kaman. Eko, that one singular who's described like this, Nityo Nityanam Chetana Chetana. Eko bahunam, that one singular, the supreme, is actually bahunam yo vididati kama. He is actually fulfilling desires. Whatever they desire, out of his compassion, mercy, he is fulfilling their desires. Like that. That is the distinction. That is a distinguishing quality of that one supreme who is Nityo Nityanam and Chetanas Chetanana. Okay, fine. Fine. So the next verse now. 15.18. Now here comes this Purushottam Yoga. Yasmat Ksharamapito Aksharad Apichottama Atosmi Loke Vede Cha Pratita Purushottama. Please read. Arun Prabhu.
Because I am transcendental, beyond both the fallible and the infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as that Supreme Person.
Yasmat, see now, any doubt, if anybody has any doubt, Lord is again clarifying that. Yasmat Ksharam Atito Aham. So I am transcendental Atito, means actually I am beyond the fallible Ksharam. And Aksharad Apichottama, even among the Aksharad, that is infallible ones, I am Uttama amongst them. I am beyond them as well. Atosmi Loke Vedecha Pratita Purushottama. In the Veda means in the Vedic literature, I am actually being celebrated as Purusha Uttama. Like we are studying this Purushottama Yoga, the Supreme Personality of God, right? So that way it is being given. So Srila Prabhupada writes, no one can surpass the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, neither the conditioned soul nor the liberated soul. He is therefore the greatest of personalities. So in one of the purpose, Srila Prabhupada writes, Asama Urdhva. Asama Urdhva means nobody is equal and nobody is greater. There is nobody equal. You don't want to speak about being greater than the Lord, like that. So comparison of the living entity and the Lord, both are individuals. Living entities are either conditioned or they are liberated, but they cannot surpass in quantity the inconceivable potencies of the Lord. Okay. And then the word Uttama also is being mentioned there. Fine. And there are some references given by Srila Prabhupada about the from the Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan's commentary from Chandogya Upanishads, which may find little confusing. So we can refer to the commentary on Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan like that. Okay. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, having spoken about the object of worship of the yogis, Paramatma, in the earlier verse, right? Paramatma iti udharu. The Lord now speaks about the object of worship of the devotees, Bhagavan. Though is in the form as Krishna, is also Bhagavan. He denotes the supreme excellence of his own Swarupa as Krishna by using the name Purushottama. You will find in Bhagavad Gita many other instances also. Krishna doesn't speak about him directly, right? Like in the 3rd chapter in the beginning, he says, what is that verse? 3.9. Yajnarthat karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhan. Tadartha karma kaunteya mukta Yajnarthat, do the work for the sake of yajna. Now yajna purush is Krishna. It is only, he could have directly said, do it for me. But he doesn't, sometimes he says like that, third person. He addresses himself here as Purushottama. So earlier he spoke about Paramatma, now for the yogis, and now he's speaking for the devotees as Bhagavan. And Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says, in the earlier verse, Akshara also refers to the Brahman or the Parabrahman. There it is impersonalist or Jnani's object is being described. Like that, these verses are also being interpreted very nicely by our acharyas. And Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan says, using the name Purushottama, the Lord defines his own nature. Uttama means most outstanding, even among the liberated ones. Yes, fine. So the next verse, 15.9, 19. Now, what is the process, Abhideya, and what is the purpose of Jnana? Purpose of Jnana is now, after knowing about the Lord, we need to engage in his service. Yo mam, 15.19. Yo mam eva sammudo janati purushottamam sa sarvavid bhajati mam sarva bhavena bharata. Please read. Dipali Mataji, can you read?
Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me, O son of God.
Okay, thank you. So, yo mam eva asammuda, without being sammuda, muda, without being doubting, one who can understand janati purushottama, one who can understand me as purusha uttama, purushottama. So, his janati, how it is not just theoretical understanding. By understanding Krishna as the supreme, what he has to do? Sa sarvavid jatima. Sarvavid means by knowing all this, by knowing this, sarva bhavena bharata. With all his might, with all his energy, one has to do what? One has to worship him. Like that it speaks. Okay. The imperfect knower goes on simply speculating about the absolute truth, but the perfect knower, without wasting his valuable time, engages directly in the Krishna consciousness, the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. Throughout the whole of Bhagavad Gita, this fact is being stressed at every step. And still, there are so many stubborn commentators on Bhagavad Gita who consider the Supreme Absolute Truth and the living entities to be one and the same. So, again and again, this point is being hammered. So, as I mentioned earlier, also, it is not the devotee's contemplation of meditation that aham brahmasmi, aham brahmasmi. His contemplation on that I am the servant of the Lord. That means knowing I am the spirit soul is not sufficient. Engaging the spirit soul in the service of the supreme super soul, that is actually the prayojan, like that. Vedic knowledge is called Shruti, learning by oral reception. One should actually receive the Vedic message from authorities like Krishna and his representative. Here Krishna distinguishes everything very nicely, and one should hear from this source. Simply to hear like the hogs is not sufficient. One must be able to understand from the authorities. It is not that one should simply speculate academically. One should submissively hear from Bhagavad Gita that these living entities are always subordinate to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anyone who is able to understand this, according to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, knows the purpose of Vedas, and no one else knows the purpose of the Vedas. Therefore, and the importance of this word bhajati. Can somebody read the third paragraph? Madhav Harinam Prabhu, can you read the explanation of bhajati? Are you there? Third paragraph. The word bhajati is very significant. Or somebody else can read. Mukund Pat Prabhu, can you read?
The word bhajati is very significant. In many places, the word bhajati is expressed in relationship with the service of the Supreme Lord. If a person is engaged in full Krishna consciousness in the devotional service of the Lord, it is to be understood that he has understood all the Vedic knowledge. In the Vaishnava Parampara, it is said that if one is engaged in the devotional service of Krishna, then there is no need for any other spiritual process for understanding the supreme absolute truth. He has already come to the point because he has engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. He has ended all preliminary processes of understanding, but if anyone, after speculating for hundreds and thousands of lives, does not come to the point that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that one has to surrender there. All his speculations for so many years and lives is useless waste of time.
So the personal application of this is that after doing Bhakti Shastri, we should be engaged more in the service. Either our service attitude should increase, we should go on preaching this message which is given in the Bhagavad Gita, like that. So this bhajati is actually very nicely explained here. Sarvavid bhajati maam, sarva bhavena bhajati, like that. So the one who knows everything, that is actually the knowing everything means what? Bhajati is maam sarva bhavena bhavati, actually engaging in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. So it is said we can realize the Supreme Lord only by service and humility. There is no other way. There is no other replacement for this. Okay. So there is in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita where the different Dhyana Yoga has been explained. And towards the end, Krishna gives the conclusion that Yogi Nama Sarvesham Madgate Nantaratna Saddhavan Bhajate Yomam Same Yuktutamo. So there also this word bhajati comes, and Srila Prabhupada explains very nicely in the purport that among all the yogis, who is the best or topmost according to me? That one who engages in my service. How? Shraddhavan bhajate, with all the faith, full faith, he actually engages in my service. So please read. There are 2 paragraphs. Somebody can read. Yamuna Vilas Prabhu or Mataji, can you please read from the screen the 2 paragraphs of the purports of 6.47.
Purport. The word bhajate is same paragraph, Project? Oh,
Yes,
sorry.
yes.
The word bhajate is significant here. Bhajate has its root in the verb bhaj, which is used when there is a need of service. The English word worship cannot be used in the same sense as bhaj. Worship means to adore or to show respect and honor to the worthy one. But service with love and faith is especially meant for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One can avoid worshipping a respectable man or a demigod and may be called discourteous, but one cannot avoid serving the Supreme Lord without being thoroughly condemned. Every living entity is a part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus every living entity is intended to serve the Supreme Lord by his own constitution. Failing to do this, he falls down. The Bhagavatam 11.5.3 confirms this as follows.
And no need to read the verse, you can directly read the translation. And the next paragraph also.
Anyone who does not render service and neglects his duty unto the primeval Lord who is the source of all living entities, will certainly fall down from his constitutional position. In this verse, also the word bhajanti is used. Therefore, bhajanti is applicable to the Supreme Lord only, whereas the word worship can be applied to demigods or to any other common living entity. The word avajananti, used in this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, is also found in the Bhagavad Gita. Avajananti mam muda. Only the fools and rascals deride the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. Such fools take it upon themselves to write commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita without an attitude of service to the Lord. Consequently, they cannot properly distinguish between the word bhajanti and the word worship.
Okay, thank you. So that was something from about this word Sarvavid Bhajati Mam Sarva Bhaveni Bharata. Okay, and now the last verse, the summary and the Palashruti, achieving the perfection, 15.20. Iti guyyatamam shastram idam uktam maya naga etad buddha buddhimanasya kruta krutyascha bharata. So this is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, O sinless one, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection. So there are 4 paragraphs in purport. Srila Prabhupada talks about how to understand this knowledge given as it is by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We have to understand it from the Lord Sri Krishna himself directly as he's speaking in the Bhagavad Gita, and from his representatives, and take to the devotional service. And by understanding this transcendental perfect knowledge, one will become intelligent. By understanding this philosophy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and engaging in this transcendental service, everyone can be freed from all contaminations of the modes of material nature. Okay, so devotional service is the way to go. And analogy is given just like the sun. Krishna Surya Sama Maya Hai Andhakar, Yaha Krishna Hita Hai Mayar Adhikar. So whenever there's a devotional service under the proper guidance of spiritual master and devotees, there is actually no question of ignorance. And the real intelligence means everyone must take to the consciousness of Krishna and engage in devotional service to become intelligent and purified. Unless one comes to this position of understanding Krishna and engage in devotional service, however intelligent he may be, in the estimation of someone, of some common man, he is not perfectly intelligent. So that's the Anaga. Why the Anaga is being used for addressing Arjuna? The word Anaga by which Arjuna is addressed is significant. Anaga, O sinless one, means that unless one is free from all sinful reactions, it's very difficult to understand Krishna. One has to become free from all contaminations, all sinful activities, then he can understand. But devotional service is so pure and potent that once one is engaged in devotional service, he automatically comes to the stage of sinlessness. That's the glory of devotional service. Okay. And in the last paragraph, Prabhupada explains about the anartha nivritti. While one is performing devotional service in the association of pure devotees in full Krishna consciousness, there are certain things which require to be vanquished altogether. The most important thing one has to surmount is weakness of the heart. There are anarthas. Anarthas are of 4 types, it is explained. The weakness of the heart, Hridaya Daurbalyam, the aparads, Asat Trishna, interest in the things other than Krishna, and lastly, one more thing is Tattva Vibhrama. Not knowing about the soul, super soul, and the relation between them. That's called as Tattva Vibhrama in short. So the most important thing one has to surmount is weakness of the heart. The first fall down is caused by the desire to lord it over material nature. Thus, one gives up the transcendent loving service to the Supreme Lord. The second weakness of heart is that one increases the propensity to lord it over material nature. He becomes attached to matter and the possessions of matter. The problem of material existence are due to the weakness of heart. In this chapter, the first 5 verses describe the process of freeing oneself from the weakness of the heart, and the rest of the chapter, from the 6th verse to the end, discusses Purushottama Yoga, like that. So that's about the Purushottama Yoga. So Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan says, thus iti, I have briefly spoken to you, the Supreme Devotee, the scriptures composed of 3 verses defining the Supreme Person. O sinless one, Anagha, you should not reveal this to unqualified who are not pure like you. Understanding this, a person has full knowledge of the scriptures, Buddhiman, and he will achieve direct realization, Kruta Krutya. Thus, knowledge about the Supreme Person is praised. And he talks about the summary of the entire 15th chapter. From the 15th chapter, one learns that the person who is different from the conditioned and liberated souls and who supports and is superior to both of them is Supreme Lord Krishna. Thus, our discussion of the 15th chapter is over. We'll take a break now. So we saw in the first section how we have to go from material world to the spiritual world, how the material world is being explained in the form of the analogy of the banyan tree, and then in between the transmigration is also given. And then the second section was about the maintainer, Krishna as the maintainer on the cosmic and individual level. And the third section we saw about the summary of the Vedanta Sutra, where Supreme Lord is being distinguished and from both jivas which are liberated and conditioned. So thus ends our discussion on the 15th chapter, Purushottam Yoga. Anybody has any questions or comments? They can raise them towards the end of our discussion. Okay, so we'll take a 5 minutes break and come back at exactly in 5 minutes. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Now, remembering that the fruits of the Ashwatha tree of samsara had not been described in the last chapter, after mentioning them, the Lord in this chapter describes the fruits of the tree, which are of two varieties. Those which cause liberation and those which cause bondage. First, he describes those giving liberation in the first 3 verses. Like, so we saw many analogies, the analogy of the tree, many similarities. And now here in the 16th chapter, the Daivi and Asuri Sampada, divine and demoniac natures, they have been explained. So there are 3 sections, 16.1 to 3, the first 3 verses. They will describe the 26 divine qualities or the Daivi Sampada, the divine possessions. And then 16.4 to 20, the Lord will explain about the demoniac qualities, the demoniac mentalities, and their activities and their consequences, like that. And the last section, 21 to 24, where the 3 gates to hell they have been described: Kama, Krodha, Tata Lobas. 3 gates to hell they are described, and the result or consequences of the disregarding the scriptures, which is the main difference between the Daivi and Asuri Sampada people. What is the main difference between the demoniac and divine? Is the divine, they abide by the scriptures. They live their life by the scriptures, where demoniac, they disregard the scriptures. Okay. So the first is the 26 transcendental qualities of divine, Daivi Sampada. Arjuna Vacha, please recite with me 16.1 to 3. Shri Bhagavan Vacha, Avayam Sapta Samshuddhi Jnana Yoga Vyavasthiti Danam Damasya Yajnascha Swadhyaya Stapa Arjavam Ahimsa Satyam Krodhastya Shantir Upashanam Daya Bhuteshwaro Nuktam Mardavam Rir Chapalam Tejakshamaduji Saucham Droho Nati Manita Bhavanti Sampadam Daivim Abhijatasya Bharata. Please read. Sundari Palika Mataji, can you read? Translation 16.1 to 3.
Yes, Prabhuji. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, fearlessness, purification of one's existence, cultivation of spiritual knowledge, charity, self-control, performance of sacrifice, study of the Vedas, austerity, simplicity, non-violence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, renunciation, tranquility, aversion to fault-finding, compassion for all living entities, freedom from covetousness, gentleness, modesty, steady determination, vigor, forgiveness, fortitude, cleanliness, and freedom from envy and from the passion for honor. These transcendental qualities, O son of Bharata, belong to godly men endowed with divine nature.
Any other place in the Bhagavad Gita or any other scriptures where you find such qualities being mentioned also? Now you're almost coming to the end of your study of Bhagavad Gita, 16th chapter. So any other places you understood this?
So section 13th chapter में 8 to 12, 13, 8 to 12.
Okay,
Yes,
fine. Qualities are being mentioned. Yes, okay. Amanit Madam, Kishore Madhav Prabhu.
Yeah, so, part of qualities are mentioned in 12th chapter where qualities of bhaktas are mentioned.
Yomat Bhakta Samay Priya. Krishna says again and again that one who is Advaishta Sarva Bhutana Maitra Karuna Yamacha Nirmamo Nirahankara Samadukha Sukha Kshami. So like that, all these in last 8 verses, 12.13 to 12.20, in the last 8 verses, what are the qualities of the devotees? They are dear to Lord Sri Krishna, that have been mentioned also. Yes. So in the 13th chapter, in the 12th chapter, 10th chapter also they are there. I think so. Yes. So many places we can see that these qualities are actually being described. Also, if you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the Madhya Leela, after giving, after this Rupa Shiksha, 19th chapter of Madhya Leela, in the 20th chapter, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is describing the process of devotional service to Sanatana Goswami. Last 4-5 chapters of Madhya Leela are actually Sanatana Shiksha. So this 20th chapter, 22nd chapter, this is a process of devotional service. So this 78, 20 CC Madhya 22, 78 to 80, there are again 26 qualities of Vaishnavas they have been described. Krupalu, Akruta Droho, Satyasara, Sama, etc. like that. There's 26 qualities have been listed. So many places we will find such descriptions of the qualities mentioned by the Lord and the devotees. So what is the purpose of that? We are actually supposed to develop these qualities, because we are studying means what? Not just studying theoretically, we are supposed to develop them. And to the extent, we can say, to the extent we are to develop them, to that extent we can call ourselves as devotees. If I'm calling myself as a devotee, but if I'm devoid of any of these things, these are not to any extent are developed in me, means I'm still long way to go in my devotional service. Like so, here it is not about the specifically pure devotees like in 12th chapter or in the Madhya Leela 22nd chapter, but this is in general divine, daivi, godly, which are against the demoniac. And on the other hand is the demoniac qualities. So those have been actually being described. So if you read Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan, which Srila Prabhupada actually also bases his purports on his commentaries. So they actually classify these 26 qualities according to the Varna and Ashrama. Anybody who is living in Varna and Ashrama system also, if he can adopt to these qualities, acts per his Varna and Ashrama, then he will come to slowly to the transcendental nature. He will also come to the divine platform. That is what has been explained. So the first line, what is being said, Abhaya, Sattva Samshuddhir, Jnana Yoga Vyavasthiti. These are the 3 qualities which are essential for a sannyasi. It is not that the other people should not have these qualities, but especially for a sannyasi, these are the 3 essential qualities. Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan will say, this is not an exhaustive list, this is not a complete list, but prominent ones are being described. So sannyasis, first 3 qualities in the first line, like that. Abhaya Sattva Samshuddhir Jnana. Then comes Grahasthas, the next 3 qualities, 4, 5, 6. Danam, Damascha, Yajnascha. These are for the Grahasthas. Then Brahmachari, there is 1. Swadhyaya. This is most important for Brahmachari. Swadhyaya. They should regularly. It is not that the Grahastha should not study. This is for Brahmacharis. Chalo, license mil gaya, Bhakti Shastri mein bata diya. No need to study now. It is for Brahmacharis. Prabhupada mentions in the Upadeshamrut, Utsahat Nishchay Dharya, Tat Karma Pravartanat, Sangha Tyagat, Sato Vritti. Sato Vritti, where he explains in the purport, everybody is expected to rise at 4 o'clock in the morning. He is not saying Brahmachari should rise 4 o'clock in the morning. Everybody is expected to rise early in the morning. Of course, as per our time, place, circumstances, having small kids, family situation, we can see, but that should be our goal. If I'm not able to do it now, that should be my goal, like that. So, why did I say this? Yeah. So, Swadhyaya is actually for Brahmachari. Prominently for him, it is for everyone. And Tapa is especially explained for the Vanaprastha. Vanaprastha is not abhi retired ho gaye, chalo, abhi cards khelo, Times of India, whatever the newspaper is there, padhte baitho, start to finish, start from the right, left top corner and go to the right bottom corner, It is not meant for that. Prabhupada explains in Prajalpa, in the Updeshamrut, in the Western countries, they are addicted to playing golf, going for fishing, playing cards, and solving crossword puzzles. This is not for Vanaprastha. Vanaprastha means now he has to intensify his devotional service. He has to focus and he has to perform tapasya. Vanaprastha. One quality, tapasya. Then comes the ashramas, the varnas, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. So from 9 to 20, that is actually for Brahmana. Tapa Arjavam, right from Arjavam it starts. Arjavam, Ahimsa, Satya, Krodha, Tyaga, Shanti, Upayashunam. All these are actually 12 qualities are next for Brahmanas. And then Kshatriyas, the next 3 qualities, we'll discuss that. And then for Vaishyas, there are 2. And Shudras, it is 1, the last one. What is that? Nati Manita. Nati Manita. Like that. Na Atimanita means not expecting honor. It is expected to be in the Shudras. He should be submissive to his authorities. Like that. Okay. Now, first paragraph, summary of what we studied so far and what to expect in this chapter.
Prabhuji, just can you lastly, Brahmana you said 9 to 20, then Vaishyak, Shudra, can you just tell me once again?
Yeah, 21 to 23, 24 to 25 Vaishya, 26 for Shudra. First three for sannyasis, 4, 5, 6 grahastha, 7 brahmachari, vanaprastha 8, 9 to 20. That's actually the next 12 for brahmana, 21 to 23 kshatriya, 24, 25 vaishya, and 26 for shudra. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I still missed, but later on someone can post it on the group. It will be helpful for us. We couldn't note it fast actually.
Okay, fine. I will only post it. I will not give trouble to others. Take it. Now, where is it? Chat. Okay. Hope you are able to see now. Okay, so read somebody first paragraph. Who can read? Aruna Mataji, are you in a position to read or no? Not yet. Okay, somebody else can read. Prerna Mataji, you can read, please.
I can read.
Sorry, you have not read. So, yes. Kishore Madhav Prabhuji, please read.
Yes. Start from the first paragraph.
First paragraph
in the
only,
beginning,
where the summary of what we have studied and what to expect in this chapter will come.
In the beginning of 15th chapter, the banyan tree of this material world was explained. The extra roots coming out of it were compared to the activities of the living entities, some auspicious, some inauspicious. In the 9th chapter also, devas or godly and the asuras, the ungodly or demons were explained. Now, according to Vedic rites, activities in the mode of goodness are considered auspicious for the progress of the path of liberation, and such activities are known as Daivi property, transcendental by nature. Those who are situated in the transcendental nature make progress on the path of liberation. For those who are acting in the modes of passion and ignorance, on the other hand, there is no possibility of liberation. Either they will have to remain in this material world as a human beings, or they will descend among the species of animal or even lower life form. In the 16th chapter of Lord explains both the transcendental nature and its attendance quality and demonic nature and its qualities. He also explains the advantages and disadvantages of these qualities.
Okay, thank you. And then Srila Prabhupada in the next paragraph explains the word meaning of abhijatasya. Abhijatasya means one who takes birth, one who is born of. That means many times we see the children are born with some particular swabhava, qualities, nature, etc. Right? So Srila Prabhupada takes the opportunity to explain the importance of Garbhadhan Samskar. The word Abhijatasya in reference to the one born of transcendental qualities or godly tendencies is very significant. To beget a child in godly atmosphere is known in the Vedic scriptures as Garbhadhan Samskar. If the parents want a child in the godly qualities, they should follow in the 10 principles recommended in this social life of the human beings. That's samskaras we are talking about. In the Bhagavad Gita, we have studied that, also before that sex life for begetting a good child is Krishna himself. Where this is mentioned? No. Dharma viruddha bhuteshu kamosmi bharadashu. That's verse actually in the 7th chapter. Okay. Sex life is not condemned provided the process is used in Krishna consciousness. Those who are in Krishna consciousness at least should not beget children like cats and dogs, but should beget them so that they may become Krishna conscious after birth. That should be advantage of children born of father and mother absorbed in Krishna consciousness. So later on also we'll study this, karmana devanetrena janturdeho. It is by the divine arrangement of the higher authorities under the supervision of the Lord, and by the according to karma, one will take birth in a particular father and a mother. So it's a process. So Vedic culture is not just when life starts it and then life ends, everything ends. No, it starts before the life starts actually, right before the conception. It starts, and even after the man is dead, antim samskar, final rites, and even shraddha, etc. That's actually our glory of the Vedic culture, where it is Jindagi ke saath bhi, Jindagi ke baad bhi. That is not LIC. That is actually Krishna consciousness. Okay. So then the Prabhupada will talk about the Varnashrama system and the importance of that, etc., etc. So we'll start now. Now we have less time. We'll start with the qualities, 26 qualities. So the first one is abhayam. That means fearlessness. So, what are some of the fears we had before coming to Krishna consciousness, and what are some of the fears we still have now after coming to Krishna consciousness? Quickly, what are the general fears people have in life, in general, and for as a devotee also? What are some of the fears we may have? Some of them are healthy fears, some of them are not so healthy. But anyway, we can mention. Yes, Kishore Madhav. First, you tell about the materialistic people, or before we came to Krishna consciousness, what were our fears?
My personal experience, one of the reason why I got more inclined to Krishna consciousness was some financial situations. That means fear of losing money or something like that. So yasham anugrami harisha tadagram, something like that. So fear of financial challenges.
No, it's not clear to me. Okay, fine. So you were afraid of having some financial challenges, therefore you came to Krishna consciousness? Or after coming to Krishna consciousness, you have fear of losing everything, your finances?
No, now there is no fear, but one of the reasons why we got more connected to Krishna initially was some external challenges like finance was for me.
Okay, fine. Yes, in Krishna consciousness, our lifestyle is very simple. It's not very exuberant, etc. like that. Srila Prabhupada mentions, if one is not exorbitant in the matter of eating, sleeping, mating, defining, progress is actually ensured. Fine, thank you. Sundari Palika Mataji, yes.
Project, before coming to Krishna consciousness, there were many fears like financially weakness, fear of a failure, fear of having bad health, fear of getting scolded by the parents. There were lots of fears.
Unending list. Okay.
And after coming to Krishna consciousness, now being a devotee, there are so many tests coming from Krishna's side. The fear is losing bhakti.
Okay.
So one mistake and you will fall down and you might lose bhakti. That is the only fear now.
Very good. Yes, that's actually a healthy fear. So Prabhupada mentions Neha Bikram Nashosti Pratyavayana Vidyate. The greatest fear is sliding down or losing this human form of life and sliding to the animal forms. Yes, thank you. Bhakti Leela Mataji.
Before coming to Krishna consciousness, there may be a fear of death, fear, or losing prosperity. And after coming to Krishna consciousness, Vaishnava Aprad, greatest fear.
Okay, Vaishnava Aprad. Very good. Thank you. That's a healthy fear again. Prerna Mataji.
Yes, same Prabhuji, before coming to Krishna consciousness, the fear of death, fear of losing our own position, prestigious position in the society, losing name and fame after coming to Krishna consciousness. We spit on such things because we realize what is the aim of our life. And the fear of death is continue before Krishna consciousness also and after also. And after adopting to Krishna consciousness, I get fear of losing association of duty. That is the greatest fear I have.
Oh, very nice, very nice. Losing the association. That's also healthy fear. Very good. Prasanna Gopal Prabhuji.
Yeah, before Krishna consciousness, there are many fears of the challenges which are required for settling in the material life, may it be a studies or may it be getting job or family settlement. But after coming to Krishna consciousness, now there is another kind of fear, like of course the losing Krishna consciousness or losing the interest in Krishna consciousness, or even a fear of not completing complete Krishna conscious activities until death. What will happen? So that kind of little fear is there. Of course, the Krishna assures, but still there is that fear is there always.
Okay, okay, fine. Yes, thank you. So, yes, so, anyway, the points are done. So, Srila Prabhupada explains, same thing in the Shastri. For a sannyasi, because we are talking about sannyasi, these three, every devotee, every living entity should not have this. But as long as we are in the material world, what is that? Ahar, Nidra, Bhaya, Maithun. This will go on. So, Bhaya means actually will be always fear like that. So, especially for a sannyasi, the first qualification should be fearlessness. Because a sannyasi has to be alone without any support or guarantee of support. He has simply to depend on the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If one thinks, after I leave my connections, who will protect me? He should not accept the renouncement of life. One must be fully convinced that Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is realized as Paramatma, is always within, that is seeing everything, and he always knows what one intends to do. One must thus have firm conviction that Krishna as Paramatma will take care of the soul surrendered to him. I shall never be alone, one should think. Even if I live in the darkest regions of forest, I shall be accompanied by Krishna and he will give me all protection. That conviction is called Abhayam, fearlessness. So if you study 18.66, we will study that anyway. Sanatana Goswami, Srila Prabhupada quotes from Sanatana Goswami about the 6 symptoms of surrender. So, Anukulya se sankalpam, pratikulya se vaja. Rakshasi iti vishwaso. Krishna will protect me. That conviction is also a symptom of or limb of surrender. Like that. If you see Srila Prabhupada's own life, when before taking sannyas, Srila Prabhupada did not want to take sannyas. He was actually very, very fearful. Twice it happened to him that his spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, came in his dream and he indicated to him, come behind me. That means take sannyas. And when Srila Prabhupada actually had, it is there written in the Lilamrut, when he had this first time, this dream, he was shaken to the core. He said, I have wife, children, business, this, that. How can I give up everything? I cannot take sannyas right now. Like that he was thinking. That was a very horrible thought for him to take sannyas for Srila Prabhupada. And then, one of his godbrother insisted to him that, without taking sannyas, you cannot become a preacher. So Srila Prabhupada says, he insisted I should take sannyas. It's not only he insisted, my godbrother, my spiritual master insisted through my godbrother for me to take sannyas. Like that he says. And of course, later on, we know what happened, but there's a nice thing in the own words of Srila Prabhupada. So somebody can read from the screen. Arun Prabhu, can you please read? Are you able to see now?
Yes, Guruji.
Yeah, please read.
To accept Abhayam. One has to accept the renounced order from another person who is in renounced order. So I never thought that I shall accept this renounced order of life. In my family life, I was in the midst of my wife and children. Sometimes I was dreaming my spiritual master that he is calling me and I was following him. When my dream was over, I was thinking, I was little horrified. Oh, Guru Maharaj wants me to become sannyasi. How can I accept sannyas? At that time, I was feeling not very satisfaction that I have to give up my family and have to become a mendicant. At that time, it was a horrible feeling. Sometime I was thinking, no, I cannot take sannyas. But again, I saw the same dream. So in this way, I was fortunate. My Guru Maharaj pulled me out from this material life. I have not lost anything. He was so kind upon me. He was so kind upon me. I have gained. I left 3 children. I have got now 300 children. So I am not loser. This is material conception. We think that we shall be loser by accepting Krishna. Nobody is loser. I say from my practical experience. I was thinking that how can I accept this announced order of life? I cannot accept so much trouble.
So it's actually from his practical relation, Srila Prabhupada is speaking. That's what was going on. But now he's actually very grateful to his spiritual master for mm, pulling him out of the material life. And true to his name was Abhaya, Abhaya Charana Arvinda, right? So he was fearless, and that's how he actually proved his name also. In fact, once while with his disciples, Srila Prabhupada was discussing, and somehow the discussion came to the Victoria Memorial in the Calcutta, and Srila Prabhupada explained, when I was young, this Victoria Memorial was being built, right? And then there was a scaffolding all along with it during the construction time. And he said, I climbed that scaffolding and went till the top. Scaffolding means there's nothing to hold, right? It's just the bars. You must have seen while building constructions, they put either the bamboo scaffolding or the pole, metal pole scaffoldings, right? So he climbed from there and went up to the top. So one of the disciples said, "Oh, you must be brave then, Prabhupada. You must be brave then." Then, like that he said. And Prabhupada said, I was brave then and I'm brave now also. Fearless now also. That's why I'm able to come to your country, even in this condition, like that, he said. So, Srila Prabhupada is always compared to, he was fearless as Prahlad Maharaj, like that. He's being glorified. So, in the Bhagavatam, if you read second canto, Shuddha Goswami, because now it's Parikshit Maharaj who's about to die in 7 days, and the question is being put by him. So Sukadeva Goswami says something in regard to the fearlessness. He said, Tasmad Bharat Sarvatma Bhagwan Ishwaro Hari Shrotavya Kirtitavyascha Smartavyascha Ichchata Abhayam. Anybody wants to become Abhayam, anyone wants to become fearless, he has to do these 3 things. Shrotavya, he has to hear. Kirtitavya, he has to glorify or recite. And Smartavya, so he should always remember who? Lord Sri Krishna, who's having these 4 attributes. Sarvatma, he is there in all the living entities. Bhagavan, he is now having 6 opulences. Ishvara, he is the full supreme controller. And Hari, one who actually takes all the inauspiciousness from your life. Sarva Amangala Hare iti Hari. So these are the 4 adjectives are being used in that particular verse. So that's actually about the becoming fearlessness. Fine. Sattva Samshuddhin, we'll go a little fast now. Sattva Samshuddhin means what? Purifying our consciousness and then purifying our existence. Sattva also means satta or existence. So we need to purify our existence. We need to purify our mind, our body, our thoughts, our desires, and of course, the consciousness, like that. And then that is especially true for a sannyasi. A sannyasi cannot mingle with uh, uh, ladies, etc., like that. He cannot be very casual. He cannot be. So, Srila Prabhupada explains there, how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was actually the ideal sannyasi, and all the ladies, etc., they used to pay obeisances to Lord Chaitanya, right, from a long distance only. It is not that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's Krishna himself, he doesn't, he knows that it's soul only, if that is a male's body or female's body, but it is to show proper etiquette and set a proper example. And therefore, when Haridas, uh, uh, Chota Haridas, actually, he was, he was little casual while talking to a young lady. He was banned by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to show that, to set up the ideal standards. So that's about talking about the purification, especially for a sannyasi. He has to be very, very careful with the opposite sex, like that. Jnana yoga vyavasthita. One has to be situated in knowledge, means one has to cultivate or engaged in cultivation of knowledge. Continuous cultivation should go on. That is a sannyasi life. And because sannyasi is meant to distribute the knowledge, wherever he goes, he's supposed to speak by kaya, manasa, vacha. He has to serve the Supreme Lord. So if he has to speak, especially to the householder, like Sukadeva Goswami goes to Grahastha's places only till the time the cow is being milked. Why? He's not actually going so much to beg from that Grahasthas, but actually to enlighten the Grahasthas, like that. So therefore, they should be situated in cultivation of knowledge, like that. Srila Prabhupada writes, he should preach Krishna consciousness with logic and understanding, and if one is not so advanced, he should not accept the downside of life. But even if one has accepted the downside of life without sufficient knowledge, he should engage himself fully in hearing from a beloved spiritual master to cultivate knowledge. Jnana Yoga Vyavasthita. Then the next one is Jnanam. Jnana means charity. For whom it is meant? Charity. Can sannyasi give charity? Students give charity? Vanaprasthas? Of course they can, but mainly especially meant for Grahasthas. The next three qualities are for the Grahasthas. Distributing the food and giving the 50%. Many, many times purport Srila Prabhupada write 50%. Spend 50% for the cause of Krishna consciousness. And the same thing, Dadati principle, Dadati Prati Gunnati, Srila Rupa Goswami also explains 50%. And he exemplified from his own life. He gave 50% for the propagation of Krishna consciousness, 25% to relatives, and 25% for the emergencies, like that. Okay. So the Dhanam is actually very, very important quality for Grahasthas. 18.5 will study Yajna Dana Tapasa. One should not give up any time Yajna Dana and Tapasa. So that's about the Dhanam, charity. Dhamma means actually controlling the mind. Dhamma is, Srila Prabhupada writes Dhamma is controlling the mind. Actually, Dhamma and Shema, these two words comes. Dhamma is actually the sense control, and Shema, Srila Prabhupada only writes, many other places also. Shema is actually the mind control. Okay, fine. So because the mind is also the chief of all the senses, so that way also you can interpret it. Okay. So this paragraph somebody should read. As far as Dhamma is then as far as Dhamma, self-control is concerned, it is not only meant for other orders of religious society, but especially meant for the householder. Although he has a wife, a householder should not use his senses for sex life unnecessarily. There are restrictions for the householders even in sex life, which should only be engaged in for the propagation of children. If he does not require children, he should not enjoy sex life with his wife. Modern society enjoys sex life with contraceptive methods or more abominable methods to avoid the responsibility of children. This is not in the transcendental quality, but is demoniac. If anyone, even if he is a householder, wants to make progress in spiritual life, he must control his sex life and should not beget a child without the purpose of serving Krishna. If he is able to beget children who will be in Krishna consciousness, one can produce hundreds of children, but without this capacity, one should not indulge only for sense pleasure. So this is coming from Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur. He used to say this. So Prabhupada is paraphrasing that here in the purport also. Okay. The next one is Yajna. So different performances of different sacrifices, Agnihotri sacrifice, etc. They are there mentioned in the Vedic literature. But now Srila Prabhupada says these things are not possible. Now we have to do what? Sankirtan Yajna. The best sacrifice recommended in this age is Sankirtan Yajna, like that. Okay. Swadhyaya, study of the Vedic literature. So Swadhyaya, the Vedic study, is meant for brahmacharya or student life. Brahmachari should have no connection with women. They should live life of celibacy and engage the mind in the study of Vedic literature for cultivation of spiritual knowledge. This is called Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya Jnana Yajnascha. We have studied in the 4th chapter also. Different types of sacrifices for Grahastha brahmacharis. There also it is mentioned. Swadhyaya Yajna means studying scriptures. For us, especially studying the Srila Prabhupada's books. Okay. Tapa is the austerity. A man retired from household life must practice austerity of the body, mind, and tongue. That is tapasya. The entire Varnashrama Dharma society is made for tapasya. Without tapasya or austerity, no human being can get liberation. Arjavam, simplicity. As far as Brahmanical, now Brahmanical qualities they have started, 9 quality now. Arjavam, from here 12, next 12. So as far as Brahmanical qualities, simplicity is concerned, not only should a particular order of life follow this principle, that is only not only Brahmanas, but every member, be he Brahmachari, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasasha. One should be very simple and straightforward. Vaishnavata yahi saralta, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say. Okay. So if you are duplicitous this way, that way, then we say something, something is in our mind. Something is in our mind in the thought process. We say something and we do something else. That's not actually a Vaishnava. Okay. Ahimsa, non-violence. We have discussed this many, many times. So here ahimsa means not killing animals and not checking their progress. Okay. So we saw this ahimsa earlier also in 13.8 to 12. Satyam, truthfulness. So Srila Prabhupada writes, not to distort truth for some personal interest, especially Vedic instructions. One should not construe some interpretation for his personal interest. There are so many commentaries of Bhagavad Gita that misinterpret the original text. The real import of the word should be presented, and that should be learned. That should be learned from a bona fide spiritual master. So truth means not actually distorting it, keeping it as it is. Bhagavad Gita as it is. Akrodha, freedom from anger. There's so many provocating situations, but we need to learn to be tolerant, because anger is one word short of danger. If you add a before anger, then that's actually the danger, right? Correct. And we'll study this next coming further also. Kama, Krodha, and Lobha, that time is. Next is Tyaga, for a Brahmana, renunciation. So obviously we discussed that also, Yukta Vairagya last time. It is not just the Jnani's Tyaga. He renounces everything, but a devotee renounces, doesn't renounces, he uses Yukta Vairagya. Whatever is being useful in the service of the Lord, he will use that. And Shanti. Shanti means tranquility, peacefulness, calm state, right? A Brahmana must be shant, is not very agitated, right? Unaffected by the disturbing emotions, peaceful, equipoised. Apayashunam, aversion to the fault finding. Srila Prabhupada writes, Brahmana's qualities. Apayashunam means that one should not find fault with others or correct them unnecessarily. Of course, to call a thief is not fault finding, but to call an honest person a thief is very much offensive for one who is making advancement in spiritual life, like that. So, apayashunam, aversion to fault finding. So it is said, Ishwara Puri had 2 disciples in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and through these 2 disciples, Ishwara Puri is teaching the whole world. One was actually disciple Ramachandra Puri, and another was Ishwara Puri. These are the 2 disciples of Madhavendra Puri, and Madhavendra Puri is teaching through these 2 disciples all over the world. So Ramachandra Puri was especially known for finding faults. Even all the sannyasis, Lord Chaitanya himself also, like that. So that's actually is very, very displeasing to his spiritual master, Madhavendra Puri, and that's how he's being condemned. And opposite to that of the Srila Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, if he used to hear any criticism of anyone, he used to not hear that, and he used to say that, I can only see how is he engaged in Krishna service. He used to overlook the faults, like that. Next one is Daya, Brahmana, Daya Bhuteshu, towards all living entities. And for the Brahmanas, the Daya Sarva Bhuteshu means, for us it is applicable how? We should distribute prasad, distribute knowledge, the holy name, Sankirtan, building temples so that people can come and take advantage. So that's how in Daya Sarva Bhuteshu we can express. Aloluptam means freedom from the greed, absence of the greed. So it is said, if your greed is satisfied, if your lust is satisfied, your propensity to enjoy is satisfied, you will develop greed. And if your lust is dissatisfied, you will develop krodha. Krodha is also called as kama anuja. Anuja means following or the younger brother. So krodha comes following the lust being dissatisfied. So that's how you know this kama, krodha, and lobha. They are all actually three gates to hell described by Lord going further as the demoniac qualities like that. Mardavam. Mardavam means gentleness, friendliness to all the living entities. Re, modesty, not being boastful. Re means that one should be very modest, and one must not perform some act which is abominable, unlawful, performing the unlawful acts. Re, one should be modest, one should not perform them. Achapalam. Achapalam means determination. One should not be agitated or frustrated in some attempt. There may be failure in some attempt, but one should not be sorry for that. He should make progress with patience and determination. It is said devotee means devotee with determination. And the best example we have is Dhruva Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada himself. Teja. That's actually now, this is the end of Achapalam, determination for the Brahmana. Then the next three qualities are for the Kshatriya. Teja means vigor, strength. He should be strong. The Kshatriya should always be very strong, be able to give protection to the weak. Kshatriya means five qualities they give protection, right? Brahmanas, children, elderly, cows, and women, like that. Yes. They should not pose themselves as non-violent. If violence is required, they must exhibit it. But a person who is able to curb down his enemy may, under certain conditions, show forgiveness. He may execute minor offenses. So, that's actually the forgiveness is next quality, kshama. Forgiveness for the minor offenses. That's also quality of Kshatriya. A famous example is Draupadi. Even her own 5 sons are being killed by the Ashwatthama in merciless fashion while they were sleeping. When Ashwatthama is being caught and brought in front of her, she's actually saying, no, you release him. He's like our Guru's son. He's as good as representing our Guru, being Guru's son. And I know the sorrow of a mother whose sons have been killed. So I don't want Ashwatthama's mother to go through the same situation which I am going through. Like that, she says, she exhibits the qualities of pure devotees there, and she shows the forgiveness to Ashwatthama. Dhruti, fortitude. Okay. It's a Kshatriya. That means mental toughness, strength of the mind, the courage should be there in the Kshatriyas. So these things should be there. Teja, Kshama, and Dhruti for Kshatriyas. Then comes for Vaishya, next to quality Saucham, cleanliness. Saucham means cleanliness not only in the mind and body, but in the one's dealings also. Because Vaishyas, they have to do business, not trading, etc. So while doing business, they should be very careful. It is especially meant for the mercantile people who should not deal in the black market. Kali Yuga, everything is gone for a toss, right? Adroha, freedom from envy. Especially competition is there in the Kshatriya, so they should not be free from envy. But non-enviousness is for all of us, especially for the devotees. Like it is said, Bhagavatam nirmatsaranam satam. Bhagavatam is meant for those who are non-envious. So if we are not non-envious now, so how can we read Bhagavatam? By reading Bhagavatam, studying Bhagavatam, by implementing Bhagavatam, we will become non-envious. Na atimanita, expectation of the honor. That's actually for the Shudra. They should be respectful for others, and they should not actually expect respect from others like that. Okay. So this way, these 26 qualities are being explained as the divine qualities. Okay. So any questions or comments? We will stop here. Are there any questions from the previous things before the break? Whatever we studied from the last section of the 15th chapter, last 5 verses or these 3 verses? Yes, Kishore Madhav.
Generally, we say that there are only 2 categories, soul and super soul. Generally, it is mentioned generically everywhere. But here, it has been specifically mentioned fallible, infallible as 2 qualities, and then super soul as the 3rd quality.
No, so the various angles are there. It's not only one angle. So it is two categories of the living entities are explained to explain that Supreme Lord is different than these two, whether it is liberated or conditioned. In that context, these 2 categories are like. Otherwise, what you are saying is individual soul and super soul. That is okay. But in the living entities, those who are living in the spiritual world, they are akshara, they are infallible. Yad gatvana nivartante tad dhama param. Now they cannot fall down again. Whereas now we, in the material world, we are fallible. We always fall from our position. Whatever our position, we'll fall in our devotional service, we'll fall in our performing duties. Even in our material life, we fail so many times. We fail to reciprocate with everyone equally, etc. So we'll fail in so many ways. So we are actually conditioned ones. So in that context, it is explained that Lord is different than both of these. Like that. Otherwise, they say what? Why this is stated? Mayavadis, they say, now I am supreme, I am God, but I don't know I am God because I am conditioned. So when I become liberated, I will understand I am God. To refute that category, these 2 categories are stated. Is this clear, Prabhu?
Okay, Prabhu. Yes.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Next. Arun Prabhu, 1 second before I explain. Aruna Mataji had asked last time about these references about the subtle body. So you can read the 6th canto beginning, the discussion between the Yamadutas and the Vishnudutas. There, these Yamadutas, they described, Vishnudutas, they asked some questions and then they described to them to whom they catch, etc., etc., and the process of transmigration. There they described this subtle body is having 16 limbs. So that section you can read. If you want more details, you can come back to me. I'll tell you the verse number also. And also in the Puranjana section, when Narad Muni is explaining that Puranjana Akhyan to King Prachin Barishar, there also it is being explained that Puranjana was staying in the city of the 9 holes. When the Kala Yavana attacks, the time attacks, then they arrest the queen and the king and all the bodyguards, 10 bodyguards and the main bodyguard. So what are the 10 bodyguards? The 5 knowledge acquiring senses and 5 karmendriyas, working senses. And the main bodyguard is the mind, 11 sense above all of them. So along with them, they are captured and taken out of the city of the 9. That means when the soul transmigrates, taken out of the gross body, he goes along with these 5 senses working and knowledge acquiring also. They are subtle also in that sense, because along with them, they have been taken away in the subtle body. So you can read those sections. If you have any questions, you can ask. Okay, Arun Prabhu, yes. Next.
My question was in the same line, like we have discussed that this last 3 verses of 15 chapter 18, 19, 20, they are the essence of Vedas. And because it is very clear that Krishna says that there are 2 living entities, fallible and infallible. So my question was only that if it is clear, then how do they misinterpret? So I think you answered while answering to Prabhuji.
Okay, fine. Yes, thank you. Any other question or doubts? Any other question? No questions, no doubts? You want to stop? Fine, we'll stop here, no problem. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद जी की जय, उपस्थित गौर भक्तवृंद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। थैंक यू। हरे कृष्ण।